Hey everyone, and welcome back to a very special edition of the CX News Recap. So it's the end of the year and I figured we'd change things up just a little bit. So as you can see, I have a different background behind me, but we're also going to change how things are going to go down today. So instead of just talking about the top CX news stories from the month of December, I figured it'd be cool to look back on the whole year and see what the top trends in customer experience were for all of 2020. 2020 was anything but a normal year for literally the whole world, and customer experience was no exception. Everything was kind of turned on its head, and it's really interesting to see the ways that companies adapted to make things work for them in 2020. And a lot of these ways that they made things work happen to fit into similar categories. So let's go right into the recap and talk about the three main trends that happened in customer experience this year and how the different CX news stories fit into that. 2020 was the year of the worldwide pandemic, so obviously safety was one of the biggest considerations for every single person in the world, but especially in businesses as they're trying to get people to feel safe to come back and shop. So our first trend of customer experience in 2020 is safety. Now there are a couple of ways that companies went about making their customers or their employees feel safe. So the first story that comes to mind is Amazon Pharmacy. So with Amazon Pharmacy, like we talked about last month, this is when people can order their prescriptions online in an Amazon-like format. It basically looks exactly the same as your regular Amazon, but it's just with pharmaceutical things instead. So people can order it and get their meds delivered directly to their door. Now this was a great move for safety because especially for the people who are sick and needing to get medication, the last thing they want to do is go out into public where they could potentially get more sick or they can infect other people. Amazon really helped everyone stay safe with this move, not to mention the convenience, but I think the convenience is just a byproduct of the safety that this can provide for a lot of their customers. Like I said, safety is a consideration for your employees as well. So that's why I want to throw it back to several months ago when Twitter decided to let their employees work from home forever if they wanted to. Now at the time the story was released, basically every company was working from home 100% of the time if they were able to. So no one really had a choice then. But Twitter realized for them, things worked. Like if some people wanted to work from home because maybe there was a long commute or something, or childcare, whatever, they were just more comfortable, more productive at home, they realized there wasn't really any negative effect on their productivity, and there was actually some positive boosts as well. So they decided to let them decide if they wanted to work from home indefinitely once things were safe to go back in the office. Not only is this great because it gives people the option to choose how they want to work, how they best work, it also can make things a lot safer that people don't feel compelled to come into work when they're sick, like I think a lot of people do. But this gives them the option, if they're feeling a little bit under the weather, they can stay home and still work and not have to worry about spreading it to other people in the office. I think this is a move that a lot of people are going to make going forward, maybe not offering a fully remote option to work, but maybe a couple days a week that you can work from home, because I think we've all proved that this works. Like we can make this work and it doesn't affect productivity in any way. Remember back in March through May-ish when we were all stuck in our house, basically 100% of the time, except for like every 2 weeks when we had to go grocery shopping. We were all so bored out of our minds and we ran through every single video that we wanted to watch on YouTube, every single movie on Netflix, every book that we wanted to read. We were just running out of entertainment. So I'm gonna say that the next biggest trend in 2020 for customer experience was COVID-friendly entertainment. Now this category is going to be a loaded one because this is where companies really shined this year. Most companies definitely took this opportunity and ran with it. This first story, I'm going to throw it back to the summer when Walmart teamed up with Tribeca and did the Summer Drive-In movie series. I think everyone likes the idea of drive-in movies, but you don't see drive-in movie theaters all that often. They were kind of a cool thing of the past that you would see every once in a while. But with Tribeca and Walmart, they wanted to make this a lot more accessible for people because during COVID, being able to stay in your car and watch a movie but still get out of the house was definitely really in demand. So this was a twofold benefit. One, people obviously got their entertainment in a COVID-safe way, but also Walmart was able to utilize some of its underutilized parking lot space since a lot of people were not physically going into stores as much as they were before. It also benefited Walmart in a different way because they were able to give people a curbside pickup of movie supplies like popcorn, candy, and stuff like that so that people can enjoy their movie. The next was Screen Pass. So it's been a few months since the story came out and I haven't heard much about it since, but I'm still going to include it here because I think it was a great idea. So you know how when we were younger, I mean, maybe not us, maybe not me for sure, maybe not you, but some people out there would pirate movies from places like BitTorrent, Pirate Bay, or random sketchy websites that you can watch movies that were pirated. So that is bad. It is illegal. So I would not condone anyone doing that. But Screen Pass made it legal to basically do the same thing. So you download content and you can give your friends a pass that you can either text them or email them where they can share your content for a certain amount of hours. It's similar to Amazon Prime rentals if you've ever rented a movie there, where you have to access the video in a certain amount of hours and you have to finish it a certain amount of hours after that. So this allowed people to help share their binge-worthy content with their friends without their friends having to pay for it as well. So like I said, I don't really know where this is today. It's been a few months since it came out, but it sounds like a great idea to make something that people have already been doing before legal. The next is AMC and Universal coming to an agreement that benefits everyone. So people have not felt comfortable to go into movie theaters, and a lot of the biggest drops this year has actually happened on streaming rather than in theaters. This makes sense because when you're in a movie theater, you're just in an enclosed box with a ton of other people that you have no idea if they're COVID positive or not. So people have been rightfully very anxious to go in there. But people didn't want to wait until after this pandemic is over, because who knows when that's going to be able to go back in theaters and watch the movies they've been anticipating. So AMC and Universal came to an agreement that shortened the length of time that movies would have to be in the theaters before they were released to streaming. Before, this was around 3 months that you had to wait to be able to see something on streaming after it's in the theaters. But now they'll have that exclusivity window for the first couple of weeks in theaters, which is when most movies make 90% of their profit anyways. So it won't affect movie studios' profit that much. But after those couple of weeks, it will be able to go to streaming so people can enjoy that content in their home. So the people who do want to see it in theaters, they're able to go there and watch it with that movie theater experience. I wouldn't recommend it. But the people who want to be safe, they don't have to wait super long to get it anymore. So this is a great move that I think benefited moviegoers, studios, and movie theaters alike. Everything that companies try is obviously not going to stick. So the not so successful COVID-friendly entertainment move was Quibi. Quibi was trying to revolutionize the way that people stream content by doing bite-sized content that's a couple minutes long that people can watch while they're on the train, while they're going to the bathroom, while they just need a couple minutes to take a break. This would have been great in a pre-COVID world where people were commuting, were taking walks outside, and were just doing a lot more movement in their everyday life. But we were all stuck at home and we wanted long-form content that could help get us through and alleviate our boredom. Or we wanted super bite-sized content like TikTok that's just a few seconds that we could watch in short spurts, but we don't necessarily have several minutes to spare. So I think that Quibi might be able to come back at some point, but in terms of during the COVID pandemic, it seems like it was just the wrong time and it didn't pick up, and they unfortunately ceased operations a couple months ago after just 6 months of operations. Another trend for 2020 customer experience was eco-friendly. I think this trend is only going to get bigger every single year, and it's not anything to do with COVID. I think that people are just getting a little bit more environmentally conscious as the years go on and as the environmental situation continues to progress or regress, I guess. The first one, which I think is a little bit of a flop, was that Apple decided to not include chargers with their iPhones anymore. Their rationale behind this is that people already had chargers most likely from previous phones, so they didn't want to put extra materials into the environment that could negatively impact the environment. To me, it seems like they were just trying to save a little bit of money. And also, what are people who are first-time Apple users going to do when they don't get a charger? they have to buy it separately. Plus, everyone knows that by the time your phone is ready to be replaced, your charger has that little turtleneck on it where it's just getting a little bit scrunched and the wires are about to be exposed. So most of us could use a new charger by the time that we get a new phone, even if we already have the old charger still. So I guess good intentions behind this, but I don't think those were the real intentions, and people have had something to say about it. The next was really creative, I think, and I actually bought one of these products. So at the beginning of the pandemic, being able to find masks was one of the hardest things to do. They were sold out everywhere throughout the month of March and the beginning of April. It was really, really hard to find masks to keep yourself safe when you did have to go out to the stores and everything. But one swimsuit company, Dippin' Daisies, decided to pivot to make things work for them and for consumers. So obviously people weren't buying tons of swimsuits to go on all of these tropical vacations because they literally couldn't go on vacation. So I think that the swimsuit sales dropped for them. But they decided to use all of this spare fabric that they had so that it didn't go to waste and they could get some profit out of it by turning swimsuit fabric into masks. So you can still buy swimsuits, but I think the masks were the main thing that people were going there for. I personally have one and they are really, really nice quality. They have tons of different patterns and everything, and they even have the slot where you can put the filter in, so it's a legit mask. So although a business pivot was kind of the main rationale behind this, I think the eco-friendliness was also an added benefit that people definitely noticed and appreciated about it. In the textile industry, a lot of fabric goes to waste and it ends up just going in landfills, and it's really bad for the environment as it continues to fill up these landfills. So using this extra fabric to not only give it a second purpose, but especially to give it a purpose that can save lives and make things easier and fill a major need that we have during this time was an amazing move. And the last eco-friendly move by a company that stood out this year to me was Hummer deciding to go electric. A move that I don't think any of us saw coming, but it happened this year. It comes with a $112,000 price tag, so I don't know how many of us will actually be buying an electric Hummer, but I know that the main complaint that I personally have had, as well as a lot of other people about Hummers, is that they're terrible for the environment. I think they got somewhere between like 6 and 10 miles per gallon, which is pretty ridiculous, not only for the environment, but for your wallet too. No one wants to spend that kind of money on gas. And environmental activists have been very, very against Hummers from the start.
Look at all these Hummers. What kind of jerk would drive one of those? Dude, this car kicks ass, and I can watch Madagascar while I'm driving. Dude, those animals are so funny, they make me want to merge without looking. Yeah, Rumsfeld!
So Hummer heard all this feedback and they actually discontinued production back in 2010. So this was probably the only way that they could bring it back, because I don't think that they would have enough support or enough of a market if they came back with their old gas guzzling selves. They also changed up the look of it a little bit to make it a little less rugged and a little bit more luxury, which makes sense with the luxury price tag of $112,000, like I said. So I think it's great that they're making it electric, and apparently it doesn't sacrifice any of the original power. It's still a ridiculously powerful car. So that was it. 2020 was a crazy year. There was so much that happened, but I think that the whole world learned a lot and made a lot of progress that will help us go forward into a better 2021. So I hope everyone out there is staying safe and had a very happy holiday season. So here at Worthix, we are looking forward to a better 2021 filled with more safety and prosperity, and hopefully being able to gather with friends and family a lot more. Thank you for sticking with us throughout this crazy year and tuning into the CX News Recap every single month. And I'm really excited to bring it into 2021, and I can't wait to see what's going to happen in customer experience next year. So happy New Year's, everyone, and I will see you in January.